So, with Watch Dogs 2 being out for nearly 5 months now, most of us still ponder over the same question that we've been asking ourselves before the game even came out. Why hasn't there been a necessary team-based game mode established as of yet into the multiplayer? Now, don't get me wrong, I have a love for hunting down bounty targets as well as being the target, as well as hacking other players' data and getting killed by various NPCs in hard difficulty co-op sessions. But after doing this for about 5 months and doing it over and over and over again in the same process like a daily routine, we can agree to a certain extent that after doing this for a certain amount of time, it can get boring, bothersome, and repetitive. Now, at this point, many players have been burnt out by the game and won't return until something new pops up, whether it be new trophies for a DLC that's not going to come out for about 4 to 5 months from now, an event to, increase your score on the leaderboards, or something else entirely different. With the beautiful environment and structure that's within the world of Watch Dogs 2 in the San Fran Bay area, we can admit to a certain extent that a team-based game mode would actually be the cherry on top of this beautiful, delicious ice cream sundae that we have that is Watch Dogs 2. A lot of people may not agree with this to a certain extent, but I digress nevertheless. It reminds me of online encryption in the first Watch Dogs game, the predecessor, and how it was, a bit complex but simple at the same time. All you had to do was grab a file and get it away from the other team, whether it be running away or shooting the enemies dead on sight, and just, having that glory to yourself, and then wait for them to come back at you so you can kill them the same thing away again, or something like that, whether it be from camping or just, running around, just doing parkour stuff or anything like that. And it's got me to thinking maybe this is something that we need to spice things up within the world of Watch Dogs 2. And I've been thinking about this for some time now, and even have my own maps that I would like to give out, locations and that sort of thing, as well as ideas that I feel as though could be implemented into this. I'm not saying that they should implement this because I'm making this, but maybe we just need something that will just bring all of us back on again and bring in that competition that we once used to have. So for an idea that I feel as though should be implemented into the multiplayer would be, for example, a deathmatch or a team deathmatch, one free-for-all and the other specifically for team-based objectives. The second part of this would be that the map size depends on the number of players. If it's small, 3 to 4, large or medium, 6 to 8. The third part of this is different weapon classes that most players will be able to utilize during combat scenarios or, situations and such a thing like that. And also that RC jumpers and quadcopters should be available as pickups because you don't want explosives or stun devices being rained down upon you during combat. It can get quite annoying. For a first example of what a map should look like, a small or medium map for that matter, would be the Gates Boathouse. While it may not seem as much, this little place does have its little bit of advantages that you can use in order to get the jump on your opponent, whether it be running on the rooftops, running away from them via, acrobatics and all that good stuff, away from them, or, trying to use certain places to hold yourself up in so that when they can't find you, you can easily get the advantage on them and just jump out of nowhere like a ninja, a small ninja at that. While it may not seem as much, the Gates Boathouse definitely has a lot of appliances that you can use against your opponents. One little area that piqued my interest would be the bunker. Now, while you can access it through hacking the doors or entering through the top, the rooftop, so to speak, you can also access it through another way. Now, I actually found this out while playing Bounty Hunter the other day against an opponent who stuck themselves in here thinking that they couldn't get killed. You can actually get through the doors, the wooden planks, using explosives or stun devices in order to get them open. That way you'll be able to have good access in here, no doubt whatsoever, especially if you're trying to run away from your opponents. With that being said and done, you can easily be able to get the drop on them, with invisible explosives at hand, unless they can see it and hack it for themselves, so to speak. Another little access point that I like would be having access to the rooftops, being able to get on top of the roofs and just getting a shot down on your opponents in the process. It can be really good if you're trying to get away from the, what the situation is going on at hand, as well as get a good view of how you can control the situation. That, and you can also get a pretty good view of, the city of San Francisco. It's beautiful. It makes you want to get on your knees and say, hell yeah. But along with that would be the boathouse that I just targeted just a moment ago. Now, while a lot of people may not use this for their advantage, or since we may not be able to drive across the map using a boat, it's also a pretty little area where you can just hide yourself in, just think for a moment as to how you want to plan out your next part of your attack. It makes you think in the process, what am I going to do, how am I going to do this, and all that good stuff. Another great thing I like to add is that you can also be a good acrobat as you're running across the map. While it is small and there may be a few quick turns in the process, you can easily use this to your advantage to try to get the juke on your opponent, so as to when they're trying to shoot at you, you can easily run away from them and plan your next attack, using a trap set on the map, or using your own traps, your explosives and your stun devices in the process, while leading them to believe that you're still running away, but in the process you're actually on the roof about to get the drop on them, as I may have said this before. It's once again small and probably a bad example of a map to use, but it's something I feel as though would be greatly implemented. There are a lot of events that happen at the Gates Boathouse, and I feel as though a lot of players should be able to know that. As another added option, you can also use the buildings located right across from the Gates Boathouse to your advantage. Now, say for instance that you don't like to get in the combat scenario altogether, and you just want to stay away from the battle and just help out your teammates in more ways than one. Either doing recon or something else above those lines. The buildings right across from the Gates Boathouse can provide excellent cover as long as the enemy doesn't see you come over here. It's going to range from the gas station all the way to the Torque Rat clothing shop, if I'm not mistaken. While doing recon, you can also get a good few, pictures of the battlefield. Say for instance, if you want to post it on something as cool as Twitter or anything along of that nature, because it can be pretty beautiful while in the midst of combat. You can also use a sniper if you like, but you have to pick which building you want to use it from, because you won't be able to get a shot off on your opponents if you can't see them, with bushes and all that other stuff in the way. Now, if you get a good view of the battlefield, you can also see what's going down on the rooftops mostly, because you won't be able to see what's going on inside of the buildings. It should be very strategical of you to use this, because not a lot of people use this to their advantage. Now, most people will think that this is actually, a camper sort of thing, and it is, because there are those who will personally like to snipe you away and not get killed in the process, getting that perfect KD ratio and all that good stuff. Who knows? I don't know, because that's just the sort of thing that most people like to do, There's good snipers like that. It really is. Camper strategy. Blah. Also, get some, snaps of the seals over there as well, because, Being the next area that I want to discuss over, the Bayview Rise area is actually controlled by the Brotha and is located right next to the Titus building area. When I first found this map, it was actually during a session of Bounty Hunter when I was the target, unfortunately, and had a bit of a hard time strolling through here. It was actually crazy at first, but I can't wait to dive into this one. To start off with, we'll be going over the wide open central area, which is the train track sets. Now, as you can see while I'm moving around, the train track sets can actually be used for good mobile cover. That is, if you're trying to run away from your opponent or set up a trap for them. It's easy to use and easy to get around, especially trying to climb up top of them. It's not really hard to do so because, if you have a lot of people gunning for you, it's best to actually hide before actually, trying something else, or waiting for your opponent, that is. And what I'm doing now is actually testing out, being an acrobat and all that sort while trying to go in and out of the building. It's really good if you want to try to get away from your opponents, or, just, once again, scheme a plan up and cook something for them. The rooftops are really nice and, a bit balanced. I wouldn't say balanced, like all the good stuff. Thing is, though, when using the rooftops, you have to remember that, you have a good, clean view of what's going on around you, but you can also be a sitting duck while sitting up top of there, because you never know what's going to happen. Someone can easily spot you from a mile away and proceed to kill you on sight. And also, as a little note, you can actually get a vehicle paint job here as well. First time strolling through here, and I'm thinking, wow, I get something from here even after I die? Nice. Now, for the second part of this would be the other side of the rooftop, because you can also get a clear view of what's going on. But what's even amazing is how you can also use the inside of the building to your advantage. There's a garage located underneath, as well as a nice little room right next to it. The garage can be used as a neutral zone, that is if you want to get away from your opponents and plan out your next attack, or just, sit around, just shoot the shit with your friends, just, doing funny stuff. This can be accessed through the two garage doors via hacking, or you can use the central area by going through the front doors, or from the back area by using the back doors. That is if you're running around the building and trying to find a way inside the building quickly. There are a couple ways to get it into it from the sides, which would be from up the stairs and right under the rooftops, via the ladders and all that sort of thing. When using this garage area, you can actually plan out your attack pretty accordingly by going up the ladder and using the railings right next to it in order to get the drop on your opponents, shoot them away or use explosives. And coincidentally enough, in the new Elite Co-op missions, you can actually go to this place and have a little bit of fun for yourself, explore around it for a bit, before completing the actual mission at hand. Besides using the garage, you can also use the buildings right next to the Bayview Rise area, the little Brava area that I'm showing right now, as a sniper point, a sniper recon point or a vantage point or a sniper's nest, whatever you may want to call it. Just be careful that your opponents might be able to get the drop on you if you're not too careful. Also, look at that building over there. Look at that good old baseball building that I'm just, sticking a finger to and stuff like that. You can also use the building right next to the Titus building, and get a drop on your opponents from there. And I guess that's all there is to it for this map, because there are a lot of entry points and ways that you can, have fun with this map. All I have to say is explore a little. It reminds me of that Sprite commercial with LeBron James. Even if Ubisoft decided to make a new game mode for us to have fun in, I wouldn't simply tell you to, re-download this game and play for yourselves. I simply ask you, do you want Ubisoft to put in a new game mode for us to enjoy and have fun with? Because if you do, that feels as though it will be something very beautiful and the start of something anew.